Internet, and oh yeah to you. Welcome to the only podcast about movies. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And I'm Shahir Dow.
And I don't think I said that right. I think I should probably just say, oh yeah!
Oh, God, that hurt.
Oh yeah!
Please stop.
This week, we are doing a twofer for you to show you the differences that cinema can bring. This podcast for this entire hour will be about the Entourage movie.
Oh, yeah!
Now, is it just called Entourage, or is it called Entourage the movie?
I think it's just...
I think it's just Entourage, right?
Is it HBO's Entourage the movie?
Maybe. I don't know.
Which is a funny name for a movie, I gotta admit.
I think it's a great name for a movie.
Do you think they could change the name from the TV show? Like, instead of Entourage, it could be Vinny's fake movie?
It's just called Entourage.
Entourage.
No.
Why
No,
not?
it can't, because...
Well, see, here's...
Hashtag Shahir, the boys are back.
You gotta fill me in. I watched one season of Entourage when it came out.
Right.
I think I got up to the point where he was getting Aquaman. And then I was like, and I kind of...
That's season 2, by the way, I believe.
Oh, wow. So I actually did 2 seasons of this thing.
I think you did.
But here's the thing. I don't remember any of it. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is fun. Maybe I'll watch this one day. That was...
And then you never did.
I never went back to it. So fill me in. Entourage. Why should I watch it now?
Okay, well, first of all, to talk about Entourage the film, you have to look at this weird fucking journey that it took. So Entourage, the show, was what, 2004?
Yeah.
And it ran 6 seasons, 5 seasons?
8 seasons. I checked it on HBO when I went back.
No fucking way.
8 seasons.
Really?
8 seasons.
But like some of them are like 6 episodes long or some shit.
I
Anyway,
don't know.
it ended in 2011.
Yeah.
And now it's 2015, roughly 4 to 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if Entourage the movie never came out,
Yeah.
no one would give a shit.
I think the fact that Entourage the movie came out and no one gives a shit is probably a reflection on the show.
Well, here's the thing. Without going too much into it beforehand, I would like to say, for the record, that I enjoyed the Entourage movie. Like, I had a really good time at the movies.
Did you really?
But because I enjoyed the show. And and you should know this, going in, viewer, is if you're gonna go see the Entourage movie, this is the basis of my argument of this entire thing, because I'm pretty sure Shahir probably didn't like it as much as I did. If you're going to see the Entourage movie, you know what you're going to get.
Actually, and to be fair, I think I might come off as a little bit douchey if I didn't take this movie, because you were so gracious when you went to see a pigeon sat on a branch reflecting.
Right, last week.
If you want to go back and check out that podcast where we reviewed a complete. Well, here's the difference between Entourage and a pigeon. Entourage.
Well, tell me the difference between Entourage and a pigeon.
So here's the difference. So if you look at episode 3, we looked at this film by Roy Andersson, Swedish filmmaker.
Right.
And this is the difference. Roy Andersson's debut in New York City, or his debut for this film, was considered a success when it earned $25,000.
Right.
Entourage was considered a failure when it earned $10 million.
Right, of course.
That's the difference between, and you were very gracious in seeing that film.
Look, this
and
film...
I am not for seeing Entourage.
What, you're not going to what?
I'm not going to be that gracious.
Okay, look. Let's recap sort of. So it ran for 8 seasons, and to its own credit, I didn't know that, and I've watched the entire thing.
Yeah.
But the movie overall, here's my sort of first pitch about it.
Why don't you shall I tell? Let me
I don't want to talk about the plot yet.
Because there was none?
There was a plot. It just wasn't. Look, if you're going to Entourage for plot, that's like going. Oh man, I don't know. Going to Sizzler for like a 5-star meal. Like that's just, you don't do that.
I like steak.
Yeah, but it's Sizzler. That's barely steak.
All right. Well, but I mean, I'm just thinking, why don't we? What is Entourage about?
Entourage is about Vincent Chase, or Vinny Chase, depending on if you're close to him or not. That is basically a kid from Queens who doesn't decide. He was in a Mentos commercial, and then all of a sudden, a producer, Ari Gold, picks him out of obscurity. They whisks him and his 3 buddies away to L.A., and he becomes a movie star.
Now, when I watched the show, I thought he was a movie star to begin with.
I mean, he is.
Yeah.
That's all backstory.
Right, okay.
So he's had one successful film, and he's just like an up-and-coming actor. That's what he is, and sort of everyone liked his first role. It wasn't groundbreaking or anything, but everyone respects him, and he's like, oh, this is a new kid in the town, and he can make a movie.
Is he a good actor in the show?
In the show? Wait, hold on. Is is the guy who plays him.
No. Is Vinny Chase a good actor?
Yes.
Is he?
Yes.
Is he?
But people have contradicting sort of things throughout the series, depending on if they like him or not, or what the deal is. He's not.
Is there like a real world analog for him? Like, is he kind of like a Leonardo DiCaprio?
Well, the whole thing, because it's based on Mark Wahlberg's sort of life. Oddly enough, he produced it, and it's his sort of baby.
Right.
So Mark Wahlberg.
I mean, I think
Vincent Chase doesn't have the. If let's talk about Vincent Chase as if he's a real person, this character. He does not have the charisma that I feel Mark Wahlberg has at this point in his life.
It's odd because I kind of feel like Vincent Chase had more charisma than Mark Wahlberg in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mark Wahlberg was playing a version of himself that's been in the show.
In general. But, he does. He feels like he's charming and he's good looking and, like all those sorts of things. But is he a good actor? Like,
yes, in the show, he is a good actor. He doesn't make the best business decisions from time to time, but he is a good actor when it comes down to it.
Right.
And he makes successful films. Well, so something. Let's just talk about sort of the plot for this movie. So the series ended on kind of a weird down note, and I'm going to butcher this because it's been 4 or 5 years since I've watched it. But like Vince decides to get married, and E and Sloane break up. And Turtle is successful, and Drama is drama. I forget what even drama is. Those are the 4 characters, by the way. And again, if you're not familiar with the entourage, like the quartet that is ever so curious.
Kind of a quintet, if you count
Ari. If you count Ari, sure.
Yeah.
And Ari wasn't like that till like people realized he was one of the better parts of the show, or more entertaining parts of the show, because he brought so much sort of anger to it and passion.
He seems like the more interesting lead to me.
Yeah, no, I would, and it's funny, I would say in this film, Ari Gold is the main character.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is sort of connected other than him. I mean, they're all connected at this point because 8 seasons.
Yeah.
But like, no one else's family is in this movie.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you have to know the show to like enjoy the movie.
Of course.
Yeah.
This is, and we're not the first to make this analogy, and we won't be the last, although we will be the only podcast about Entourage the movie.
The only one. No one else is talking about this movie.
No, it only made 10 million. Who else is talking about it?
That's a flop.
Yeah, womp womp womp. But it's the equivalent of the Sex and the City movie. Now I know that the numbers there don't add up. Was it 400 and something mil for Sex and the City?
The Sex and the City movie was ridiculously successful. It spawned a sequel.
Yeah, of course. This will not spawn a sequel. I don't think the intentions for that's the one thing about this. I don't know what this thing's intentions were.
I mean, this would have to be my biggest criticism about this film, which is that I don't know why it exists.
No, but you know what? There's something beautiful about that. Think about this. This is a film that's
my skeptical eye is raising.
I know that a couple years is it's too long in the tooth by a couple years for content wise. The show is over. Yeah. No one's interested anymore. It didn't have a great finale that people were talking about.
Yeah.
It just sort of ended, and that's fine. Things end.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss to say that I didn't like all the characters. Not like I think they're a good person. I enjoyed watching all of the characters, with maybe the exception of E, but I understand why you need E to make this sort of thing work.
I always thought he was the main character.
Yeah, they kind of make it that way in the first season to try to make it sort of about him and like he's having a harder time adjusting than everyone else is.
He is the entourage.
He's the responsible one.
Right.
But like, it's a miracle this movie got made, and I feel like it's just a bunch of people that were like, hey, remember when we did this and we had our celebrity friends come and play themselves, and Jeremy Piven got to yell a lot, and like we just got to drive around Hollywood and do a bunch of cool shit, and we got paid for it?
But if that was the case, wouldn't you go, hey, let's pick up The Sopranos, arguably HBO's most successful series, and just pretend that he didn't die at the end, and just like do it. Let's do like Tony Soprano's Last Hurrah.
No. The difference is that The Sopranos has a lot to say. The Sopranos said everything it had to say.
Yeah.
And ended.
We could argue about The Sopranos as well, actually.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, since Entourage doesn't have much to say to begin with, you might be able to glean a small inkling of family and friendship and brotherhood, maybe.
Okay, well, but
hold on, let me finish the thought. That's why I think it's great this film got made because it has no right to be here. And yet I got to watch these characters that I'd spent 8 sort of truncated years, because I watched it not during its run, but near the end I did. It just I don't know. It was nice seeing them again, and I would be lying if I said I did not have a good time in the theater and watching them just do. And again, it's more of the same shit.
Yeah,
but I like it.
I mean, look. When I was in the theater, people were laughing at jokes. I didn't understand what was happening. They were people were enjoying like one-liners from Lloyd or Ari that reference something that must have happened in the show.
And there's a ton of in-referencing.
But here's the thing. It's like, if I was pitching this show, right, or if I was pitching the movie version of this show, I would say, okay, this is a show about 4 guys who are best friends, who are kind of like a family, and, you know, like, who come together around this Hollywood celebrity whose star is always on the rise, right? That's what the show is about.
Yeah,
right?
he has trials and tribulations, but not really.
And so if you
I think it goes crazy at one point.
Right. Well, but if you were to make a movie about it, and this is the worst pitch for the movie, but the most logical pitch for the movie is like, okay, let's do a show where the 4 guys suddenly hate each other or want to go their separate ways.
They've done that in the series.
Did they do that in the series?
Yeah.
And then let's do it. Let's do the movie where Vinny like loses his celebrity and like goes down.
They've done that in the show.
Really?
So why do that? I want to see an hour and a half of them partying and being awesome kind of douchebags. And I want to go along for the fucking ride.
Well, that's what you got.
That is exactly what I got. So when people sort of criticize this for not being a good film or have a certain structure or blah, 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 it's the same thing. And I'll go back to even my Sex and the City review from forever ago when I was kind of in your boots when I watched Sex and the City, the first movie. I haven't seen the second one because why? I watched the Sex and the City movie, and I remember like thinking, actually, I'll even say this: the Sex and the City movie is a better movie than the Entourage movie, like structurally, because the first 45 minutes of the Sex and the City movie made sense to anyone,
right?
And then everything after that was truncated seasonal nonsense that was sort of fan service for the fans, and that's what it was there for, and that's fine. So they like made a setup, and then they just didn't give a shit, and then they bring in that American Idol girl, and it's all fucking weird.
Right? I didn't see it.
Yeah, but this movie obviously is made for my demographic.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. I think I liked it more than I probably should have because it's this weird sort of beautiful thing that shouldn't exist.
Right.
And that's amazing. Think about that. Think of all the shit that gets made in Hollywood, like all this stuff. And this is something about Hollywood shit that no one's asking for. Like it's there.
Yeah, it's not an offensively bad movie.
No.
It's not like terribly made.
But it's also
it's deeply uncinematic. It's a
TV show.
I don't know why it's on the big screen. And I wonder why, you know, HBO, who's trying to compete with Netflix these days, why aren't they just releasing this like a 2-hour special back on HBO Go or something like that? I think it would be a big TV event because you would draw back to the audience that actually watched the show.
But I don't see. Look, HBO already has subscribers. Anyone who would resubscribe for the Entourage
but
extra
it would
episode,
just give them numbers, right? Like people would tune in to watch. You know, like people
they already have numbers.
People who used to watch the show.
They're making Game of Thrones money, son. That's like they don't give a fuck.
Well, they got Netflix hot on their heels.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Oh no, Netflix is killing it too, but I think there's room for the 2 big dogs for a little while.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go into the look of the film, really, because you were discussing that. There's no look to the film.
There's no look to this film.
But you know what?
There's mildly a look when they go into the film within a film.
Yeah, so
the film within a film looks kind of terrible.
I would say this. This is my one criticism of it. They, in the TV show, managed to make Vince's films, maybe I'd give it a 50-50, look really cool.
Yeah.
Even the Aquaman scene that they do for the fake Aquaman movie that James Cameron directs in the show, like it's and I think that's
I remember that.
Yeah, I love all that shit.
Yeah.
But the movies always looked like believable and fun. This movie looked like a Into the Nether sort of ripoff, that Metallica movie.
Yeah, it did.
It looked exactly like I imagined that movie looked from the trailer, and I was just like, and it was supposed to be about Jekyll and Hyde. Like, I just feel like they've done some I use this term lightly, creative things in the show.
Right.
Like, I think doing the whole, superhero movies are blowing up. Oh, dude, I want to do Aquaman. I'm not going to do Aquaman. That's stupid. Wait, James Cameron's directing Aquaman? Oh, like, that's a narrative that makes sense to my nerd brain.
Yeah.
But, like, Jekyll and Hyde...
I mean, you could argue it's kind of like when they were like Beauty and the Beast reboots, that were coming out last year, Sleeping Beauty.
But
or
those
something.
were shit, and they're not going to be the thing that turns Vincent Chase into a directing god. Like, you know what I mean?
It's weird in this film when everyone refers to that, to Vince's movie as a potential masterpiece, and I'm like, really? Is this what a masterpiece looks like? Because I mean,
it didn't look like a masterpiece. What I would have loved to have
it looked
seen,
like a music video.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe they did bring in a different director for that, but I would love for that whoever made this HBO films,
Doug Gillen.
Yeah, I would love for them to bring in like
a big director,
Peter Jackson, or like something, just to like do this 4-minute sequence.
Yeah,
make it whatever you want.
Yeah,
like I think that would be really interesting.
I think that. If the show worked on that level where, like, it was a real playground for Hollywood to have fun in.
It did. That's what it was.
But I didn't feel that way about the movie. I felt the movie was deeply uncinematic, uninteresting, and it had no... It had no reason to be. That's not to say it's a bad time. And I think, to be fair, if you enjoyed the show, you're going to enjoy the movie.
Right. But the reason it's there, and the love that I sort of see in it, is all these people just want to do it again. There were very few new celebrities, with the exception of maybe Haley Joel Osment and
Billy Bob
Thornton. I don't think there was anyone new.
They weren't celebrities. They were playing characters.
Right.
Yeah.
But like everyone else that was sort of like a celebrity that popped up, like at a party or at a thing, or Jessica Alba's complaining to Ari, like that's all canon. Like that's all in this world. These characters, these actors who are real life actors playing themselves in a show came back, and I think everyone just wanted to do it because that was fun.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is I didn't find it particularly funny. Like I found it like, I'm curious to see what happens next, but it's not that funny. Like I didn't laugh. And I think the people that were in the audience laughing while I was watching it, were laughing at jokes that were from the show.
It's also not a comedy. I don't really know what it is.
What is it?
It's this amalgamous thing. There's funny moments to it, but I guess it's a drama.
No.
Why?
No, because there's no drama to it.
Why? There's a guy named Johnny Drama, first of all. Let's be clear.
But there's no dramatic tension to this film other than they,
no. But there's something that I call let's call it this. There's like lizard brain dramatic tension.
I mean,
think about Shahir. Take yourself away. Take yourself
very mild level.
Yourself away. Take yourself away from all your education and your film critique and your meetups with directors talking about how the structure of movies are made and the meanings behind them, and go to your lizard brain place. Go to alcohol and boobs and fame for a second, okay? There's a scene. And there, again, this is, and please don't think this is how I think, but this is something that I can enjoy on occasion because I do.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where E, the straight-laced one, oh, by the way, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear spoilers for the fucking Entourage movie, then why are you listening to the only podcast about this movie?
And I gotta warn you, if you think this is a spoiler, it really isn't, because you could pretty much guess this walking in.
So E, they do some things to him. They actually end up, I think, drugging him at one point. Drama makes him like a Molly cocktail or some shit.
Yeah.
And he gets super horny, and he ends up banging some chick after he broke up with some other chick. All the while he's trying to get back together with Sloane. Kind of.
Oh, boy.
And there's a moment where he has to confront one girl, and the other girl like runs into him.
I'm in my lizard brain right now. Yep. What is happening in my lizard brain?
I'm getting there.
Wait.
So there's this whole thing about one of these girls is saying to E that she's pregnant, and he already has a baby coming with Sloane.
Lizard.
So
yep.
now
lizard eggs.
he's like, oh no, what the fuck am I gonna do? What the fuck am I gonna do? My life's sort of over. I have 2 babies from 2 women, and da 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 da. And then the other girl comes up and tells him that he might have some sort of STD.
And just before my lizard brain can explode with all this hormonal action, what happens?
They get rid of it. But that's
so
my point.
Nothing happens.
Right. They're like, we're roommates and we're fucking with you. So
my lizard brain just fell out of my ear. Sorry.
No. But your lizard brain is rewarded because you're thinking about again. And these are very, very first world problems.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this is not, we're not changing lives here. But your lizard brain, you're like, oh fuck, that fucking wow, dude, you fucked up. Like
the lizard tongue is slithering all over this beer right
yeah,
now.
but you're not drinking beer. Let's be very honest. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking apple cider.
Yeah, all right. And to be truth be told, I'm not drinking beer either. I'm drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. We had whiskey. Shut the fuck up.
This show is proudly supported by Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Tasty. No, but like. You know what? Here's something that actually, and I'm going to spoil the end of the movie for you, everyone out there. So there's a part in the end of the film when the film gets released and blah 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 blah. That I feel like the end stinger, Johnny Drama, and I won't say how, but he gets like his finally he gets recognized for being able to act.
That's a spoiler? That's not a spoiler. That is not.
No,
a spoiler.
that's the end of the movie.
I know that's the end of the movie, but it's not a surprise. It's not like a
why.
It just isn't to me.
He's
Like
been
I don't watch this show, and I was going, well, he's going to win the award at the end of the movie.
But he's gotten fucked over so much in the show, and granted, he's a moron in the show too. But like, I really liked that.
I could certainly see you enjoying that because you like the character,
right?
But it's not a spoiler, and it's not a surprise. Like, you know what would be a surprise to me? Is that if they got to the end of the movie, Vinny Chase releases the film and it completely flops, much like the Entourage movie did.
Right.
And Vinny Chase's career ends in the balance.
But
that would be a surprise.
Sure.
But it doesn't happen
But
that
let's
way.
also be clear about this. A spoiler is not a surprise.
Right.
I'm saying what happened in the film. It doesn't matter if you think 99.9% chance that's going to show it. I'm definitively saying this happened in the film. That's a spoiler.
Okay, all right,
I
fine.
spoiled it.
You just,
So you out there in podcast land,
all
it's
those
now
people,
ruined.
All those people who are looking for the one podcast to listen to have just been spoiled.
I know. So, but I'm sure that they've seen the film by now. Haven't you, listeners?
Well, only $10.4 million worth of viewers saw.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get those numbers for this, so it's fine. I don't know. People, my girlfriend hated it, and we walked out, and she's like, well, that was fucking stupid. And, I can't argue that. It's not smart.
No, it's not. To be honest, I didn't hate the film. I was just indifferent to it. And the word that I kept on thinking about the whole film was that this film is entirely disposable. You have, like, in your lizard brain right now.
Yeah.
And, like, think forward, like, 10 years from now, you're sitting on the couch, you've got a night to yourself, there's an entire library of movies. Netflix is now streaming directly to your brain.
Right, as it would.
In your lizard brain.
Yeah.
And Entourage the movie pops up as a potential viewable film. Would you use your lizard brain to click on it? Be honest now. Be honest.
To be honest, no. To be honest, it would depend on the mood, and this is why. Hold on. You said last week, I believe it was on the podcast. Maybe it was just in a conversation, but you were like, "Oh man, I should go home and watch some meaningful films." And you're like, fuck it, Family Guy." So you're saying that can exist, but the random night where Entourage pops up on HBO Go, I'm like, oh, why not?
The difference is Family Guy is 20 minutes long.
The other difference is we're both watching it at like midnight and we're going to fall asleep. So it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
There's a lot of parameters for you to click this film, isn't there?
But okay, well, let's go back to your original thing. Let's go. It's completely disposable, and you're absolutely right. So what?
Yeah.
So what? Does every fucking thing that we as humans enjoy have to be this lasting piece of like memorable art? No, we again, lizard brain. Like we don't have to keep remembering and thinking about this film. In fact, honestly, when we're done talking about this podcast, I'm not going to think about it again until that 10 years from now when it pops up and I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to watch this just to spite Shahir.
That's good. That's good.
So that's why I'm going to do it.
But okay, so it is entirely disposable. But like even at the center of it, right? There's a film within a film. There's a guy, Vinny Chase is trying to make a film, and Ari Gold even says at one point he's an artist, and I want to respect his art. But the film that is actually being made, Entourage, is the kind. So, spoiler alert: one of the things that happens is that one of the co-financiers of the film that Vinny Chase is making, decides he wants to pull his funding from the film because he doesn't like the direction it's going, and he essentially wants to make. Much more. He doesn't really care about art. He doesn't really care about like whether a film is good or not. He just wants to see some tits and some, like he just wants to see
right and
things that make him happy.
And it's more of a vendetta thing against Vinny Chase.
It's more of a vendetta thing. But the thing is, the Entourage film feels like the film that character would happily finance. You know what I mean? It feels like that is the film that this filmmaker wanted. So the film that they wanted is the film that they made. The film that the show, the script kind of like rallies against some, even on a very slight level, is the film that they go out to make.
Sure. But
it's just entirely disposable. Look, I would not besmirch you for enjoying this film. I would not besmirch. Ari Gold is a lot of fun.
I want to point out, use the word besmirch on the only podcast about the Entourage movie.
Ari Gold is a fun character.
You could say, I wouldn't fault you, bro. Like, why not?
Yeah, bruh.
No, not bruh.
Bruh.
Jesus Christ.
My New Zealand accent doesn't work with
no.
bruh.
Oh, no.
Let's pound a beer, bruh.
Oh, no.
I'm going to go with besmirch. I wouldn't besmirch
Jesus
you
Christ.
for enjoying the film. But it's entirely disposable. There's no reason to watch. If you watch the show, there's no reason to watch the movie.
No, the only reason to watch the movie is if you watch the show. Did I not make that clear?
My lizard brain got confused.
Man. I think what we're sort of going back and forth on in this is that you think that because a film doesn't have any intrinsic value other than watching it once for a
no
thing.
That's not true. That's not
okay.
True. Because I like dumb movies as well, and I like stupid movies, and I would I like movies that are just purely on an entertainment level. I just think that this one in particular is so disposable. Like, there's no reason for this film. You're not going to get anything out of this film other than seeing your characters you like hanging out. And
right.
that to me isn't compelling. It isn't a compelling reason to watch this movie.
Hold on.
And I like films that where it feels like the people making it were having fun making it.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of the few people that really like Ocean's 12. I think Ocean's 12 is my favorite of the Ocean's films.
You like Ocean's 12 and you didn't like the Entourage movie?
And that's what I'm saying because
that's just personal preference, man. That's not
because at least in Ocean's 12 it looks like they were having fun and it was fun to watch.
You're telling me that these guys weren't having fun making this movie?
I don't know. It doesn't really. It feels like a paycheck movie. It really does. It feels like It feels like people just went, all right, we got to do a paycheck movie. We're gonna revisit some characters that we did, and that's that.
No, I think they actually enjoyed it. I think there's no point to go back unless you did.
The one thing that I will say that is in this film's favor, although it is deeply uncinematic, and I've said that before, is that the film only cost $30 million to make, which for a big wide release film, that's pretty low.
I mean, they're going to make their money back.
Well, they haven't this past weekend.
Yeah,
I'm sure they will.
They'll make their money back
eventually. But you said this yourself. People don't care about a box office beyond the first weekend. And for the first weekend, this film got trounced by Spy.
But they're also not making it a franchise. Like, if
it is a franchise.
No, not at the no. It's a television series. If this movie did well, if this movie blew the fucking box office doors wide open,
a sequel out of it.
Yeah, I'm glad they're not. Like, this is great. This is a better ending than the show had.
Yeah,
and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it's not perpetuating. It doesn't have to last. It can be fleeting. And it can just be this stupid thing that, again, my lizard brain likes and is awful in a lot of different ways. And I'm speaking about that culturally, not actual quality.
Yeah. And it's certainly, as long as maybe a small independent art house film didn't get made because the Entourage film got made, which I don't think you could actually argue in balance of favor. As long as that didn't happen, then I don't care, yeah.
But, okay, hold on.
Like a good independent film.
But why?
Well,
what if, okay, let's say...
Because this is an established franchise that has money behind it. So imagine if a James Cameron was trying to make Terminator 1, and Terminator 1 got shelved because of Entourage.
Yeah, but okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Magic wishful thinking land. But think about it this way: how many fucking movies get made, and then how many movies don't fucking get made that are gonna be of that quality? That's a huge fucking gamble.
It's a gamble, but would you?
This is my point. If you go on a movie's success, and I'm doing air quotes, the Entourage movie did 10 million. The Pigeon movie
did 25,000.
did 25,000.
Yeah.
Meaning more people saw Entourage. No, granted, there's advertising and bullshit and whatever. Sure.
Yeah. And there's a built-in audience to the Entourage.
What has...
And you can rightly make the argument that making a successful Entourage movie allows you to make more smaller independent films.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like, what does our society as a whole want more?
But it's not the hero we want, it's the hero we need. And I look, again, people were in the audience, enjoying themselves, and I say that's a good thing. I was concerned, and maybe this is a thing for the movie theater that I go to, but a lot of people bring their kids to like
people brought kids to the fucking Entourage movie?
Like young kids were running up and down the aisle, and I was like, boy, this is not the movie to bring your kids to.
Oh no.
But then, so I'm curious about that. People bring their kids to the Avengers movies as well, late night as well.
That's better.
Well,
I don't like kids in the fucking theater, but
that's an argument about sex versus violence. I mean, the only thing the Entourage movie has is sex in it, whereas the Avengers films has violence in it.
But it's not gratuitous violence. It's violence against CG robots.
Well, yeah.
No one bleeds.
Because they're trying to cater it to kids.
Right.
So
if kids are in the theater,
it has no consequence.
Right.
So yeah, I was a little like, the only thing I would say is maybe don't bring your kids to the Entourage movie. If you want to enjoy a dumb film, go ahead and enjoy a dumb film, but maybe don't bring your kids to it.
So
especially don't bring a young. And here's the thing.
Yeah, sure.
Don't bring a young girl to this film.
No.
Don't ever let a young girl watch this movie.
No.
And that's a dangerous thing.
Well, yeah, but that's fucking bad parenting. Don't leave your gun unlocked.
No, but I'm saying, in particular, don't bring a young girl to this movie.
Don't bring a young girl to half of the fucking... Don't bring a kid to half of the fucking swill that comes out. True. It's not for them. Don't buy your fucking kid a goddamn mature video game or something stroked with violence and sexuality that you don't like. Don't fucking use that shit as babysitters. Don't be a fucking dipshit of a parent.
But do you think that if a young girl watched this movie, it could be dangerous?
I think she'd be bored out of her fucking mind.
She'd be bored out of her mind, but she might have like some issues out of this movie because its portrayal of women is not the look. And again, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because Hollywood
because it's the Entourage movie and we know what it is.
We know what it is, but and other films are probably more misogynistic than this one,
right?
But it just has somewhat of a negative portrayal of women or what women's values are.
Right. It paints sort of the LA picture that is not true. It's just sort of what people think LA is.
Yeah.
But you can't... I'm trying to think of like another movie that would be damaging to a young girl.
There's probably a lot. That's why we shouldn't probably go down that rabbit hole. There's
probably
a lot.
Because honestly, you could even
probably
take
everything.
You could even take, and I don't know why this came to mind, but Prometheus. With the fucking birthing chamber tube fucking scene. You don't take a young girl to that. I mean, a kid in general, but that's just a fucking terrifying thing.
Sure. That's saying don't take a young kid to a horror film.
That's saying don't take a young kid to a rated R movie.
Yeah. Was this movie rated R?
I don't know. But even PG-13, the age is in the fucking rating system.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, and that's the only thing I could think of that is... It's not even offensive, but the only reason you could hate this movie. No. I don't hate the film at all.
I can't even validate that. That's now that's sort of saying like, well, we shouldn't. I mean,
and I'm saying that as I'm reaching.
Right.
That, yeah.
You're going deep outside of your lizard brain.
Yeah.
Into your, what's the opposite of a lizard? What's the smartest animal? Not us. Octopus?
Octopus is not a shark.
No.
Shark is a pure
octopus,
feeding animal.
Crow, wolf, maybe.
No, yeah, the crow is right because the crow can actually
it can manipulate puzzles and
figure out
things.
puzzles.
Whatever, one of those. That
A
body
cat
and
because
brain.
it like manipulates you into feeding it all the time.
Yeah, but that's the bacteria in it that sort of get into your brain and make you
Toxic-
treat it like it's the most important thing.
Toxoplasma.
Word up to my cat Zoe. So let's talk about this. You have written down in our little notes. I mean, we could go back and forth on if, but I think I think we'll eventually agree. You have the question is, can HBO make a name for itself in the movie theater the way it did in the home show, in the home, whatever, like with Game of Thrones and True Detective?
I guess my question there is okay, and we're gonna get into and this is purely speculative business discussion, right? Like
Sure.
we don't know the inner workings of a Hollywood studio, and you certainly won't learn that by watching the Entourage movie, which is set in a Hollywood studio.
Speak for yourself.
One thing that the one other criticism I have, and again, it's mild. It's not a real criticism. It's just like, well, nobody seems to do any work in this movie. Like nobody, like they're all.
They already did the work.
They're all struggling to make movies, and it feels like
They already did the work. They already made the movie. They're in the edit bay. Wait,
It doesn't
I'm
even
sorry.
feel in the
Hold
edit.
on. You make movies for a living. You make motion picture type things, television or video. Do you really want to watch someone do that?
No, but I do want to.
Okay, then
no.
rescind that.
No,
rescind that.
Actually, I love movies about movie making, but one thing I hate is when like they make it look like it's easy, and it's not easy. And like it's like if you were a carpenter or something like that, and you're watching a movie about carpenting, you might go
Carpenting. It's carpentry.
Carpentry. Oh boy, my command of the English language is slowly fading away.
Have another cider.
If you were a carpenter and you were watching a movie about woodworking,
Sure.
and someone like whipped up something really quickly without the kind of labor that it takes to make that, and then everyone moved on, and it was like, oh, you're a genius. You might go, well, that's not really true. It's like when people do like forensic science in movies, and you go, okay, you can't just enhance an image like that, or you can't just like figure out something. You can't send a DNA test away just like that.
Or you realize it's a movie,
and
watching someone go through an arduous process, be it intricate woodworking or decrypting files or blowing up images, is super boring.
What does Ari Gold do?
He's a studio head.
But what does he do? Like in this movie, he runs around taking phone calls all day, and he seems to be super stressed about it. But I'm like, you're just running around taking phone calls. You haven't even.
He has a lot of money. If this movie fails, then he's not going to be a studio head anymore.
Right, and
it's the same way.
And like he greenlights a movie in passing. When like a Jessica Alba comes up to him and asks him, and he just greenlights a movie. I was like, is this what your job is? I don't know. Like that's okay. And inevitably, it's wrong to take this movie as a literal representation of Hollywood.
Sure.
Or the way, the work it takes to make a movie. It's wrong to do that.
Right.
So I am wrong in doing that.
Right.
But
okay. Good. We're done. We're done with the podcast now, right?
You still cringe a little when you realize nobody's working in this movie.
Why?
They're trying to make them.
I don't want to watch these characters work.
But that's about them trying to make this movie, and nobody's working to make the movie. The whole thing is like, this is the problem with the film. It has no drama. Is that it's about these guys trying to put this movie on screen, trying to like make Vinny Chase a director. You never once see him working hard. You never once see him actually putting in hours. You can get the feeling that all he does is drink and party.
Do you want a montage of Vinny Chase directing a film?
I want to just feel.
Why?
No.
Why?
I don't
Why
need
would
to
you
see
want
I
that?
need to feel like it was hard work. It doesn't feel like it was hard work.
Do you think the audience, the lizard brain audience for the Entourage movie, myself included, wants to see hard work?
I don't think I want to go to a movie with a bunch of lizards.
I mean, that's where you and I differ, man. I get down with all types. I can go to your pigeons and I can go to your lizards. I think it's fun. It's total fluff fun. Like if there was a whole scene of trial and tribulation and bullshit, I'd be like, man, I wish there was more jokes.
It's not even trial and tribulation. It's just effort. You never once see Vinny make a decision or do anything that that impacts the making of the film that he's trying to make. You never once see anything like that. In fact, the most work that everyone puts in is like organizing the party to screen the film, which they don't screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't for a movie about making a movie. Nobody seems to work at all. Like nobody.
And there we go. That's the difference. It's not a movie about making a movie.
It's a movie about the fantasy of making a movie.
It's a movie about four friends doing no work and partying all the time. And you wanting to interject work into that weird little fantasy, that's telling of you, my friend, you might need a vacation or something. It's like, man, all this fun. I really wish there was more bullshit to deal with.
Well, it's funny because I spend my free time sitting here talking about my work.
Should there be like, just like, oh, by the way, Vin, here's all the notes. Let's read all 212 of them right now. And then we'll have that weird process of like, all these notes and trying to fight back against people that don't understand what you're trying to do. That would make me feel really good. Just really reward me outside of my normal life.
No, but see, what you're describing there is seeing people doing things. I'm not saying that I even need to see people doing things. I just need to feel like, hey, this is a different, our main character is up against something that is challenging to him. And it's not. He just kind of like coast through it.
He didn't want to cut his brother out of the movie.
He just coast through it like it was like,
That's been kind of his character throughout the entire show, to be honest. He just goes through it.
Even Ari Gold, I just kind of question what is it he does.
Well, okay, I'll give you this. So the entire time the series was on, Ari had a bunch of ups and downs, and he was a big agency, and then he had to go super small, and then he built his way back up, and at the end of the series, he's a studio head, right? Here, he puts all of his fucking shit on the line for Vinny Chase because he believes that Vinny Chase can direct this movie.
and again, why does he believe that?
Because if you watch 8 seasons of the show, Ari's a weird character because he's a total fucking douchebag, but he does really care about Vince. Like he's like this weird sort of son to him. It's very odd.
Father.
No, well, Vince is Ari's son figure, whatever. Right. The difference is, so I would argue that since Ari, I think, is the main character of the film.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say against this is the weight of the decision and the sort of sacrifice at the end of this film. Basically, the whole thing about the notes and everything, the son of the financier, it's revealed that he's doing it because of a girl that Vin's seeing and he wasn't interested in him, blah, blah, blah. The father kicks the son out and he gets his kind of comeuppance and whatever. But this is actually, Billy Bob Thornton had a great sort of set of lines in this film when they're in the boardroom being like, look, you made great points, and I don't want to, neuter this movie anymore because my son's a douchebag. But he's like, you have a son, Ari. He's like, yeah, I do. He's like, well, I hope you'll never let anyone speak to your son the way you just spoke to mine. And
arguably the best line in the film.
And then to make the movie go through smoothly, one of the stipulations is that Ari loses his job.
Isn't it that Ari puts money into the film?
No,
like, doesn't he
Ari,
finance?
No.
Then if he loses his job, why does he care if the movie does well or not?
Because he cares about Vince, and he can start up again.
He prays at the end, though. I think he's putting his own money into the film.
No. Watch it again.
Watch it again.
Watch it again in 10 years.
I'm not gonna watch it again.
No. He maybe he doesn't lose his job, but he has to like distance himself from the film. I don't know what it is, but there's a sacrifice that he made.
The sacrifice he made is that he didn't get his buyout, which was $30 million. Instead, he put money into the film.
I don't know. No, I think he lost his job too.
He lost his job and he didn't take the buyout.
Right.
It's
so he's no longer a major Hollywood studio head, and he didn't take $30 million, so his friend's movie could come out and be a masterpiece.
Which it was, and it didn't seem like that hard a choice. Even though I don't know, I would have loved to see the film flop in some way, But maybe you're right. They've already done that in the show, so why do that in the movie?
Yeah.
Well, why do the movie?
No one wants to go to the Entourage movie and get depressed and think about life.
That's true.
People go to Pigeon for that.
Yeah. And that is very true. Yeah. And again, it's easy on a Saturday night or a Friday night to make the Entourage movie your movie of choice.
Yeah.
You've been at work all day, whatever, you just want something to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, you're doing it. You're getting into it.
All right.
You're caring about it.
All right. But I mean, I still think for example, the Simpsons movie takes what they do in the show and expands it out slightly further. Somewhat slightly. The South Park movie is a better example of that.
Okay, but then if you look at the South Park movie now, and now you look at the seasons that they've done, they just kept expanding. It doesn't matter the medium that they do, whether it's television or film.
That's
like
a testament to
yeah,
South
it's
Park.
great. It's great. Simpsons movie. Let's talk about the Simpsons movie for a second.
It's not it expands the world of The Simpsons beyond the scope of the show somewhat, but it doesn't like it's not like the sterling example of like taking a TV show and transitioning.
Well, I would argue that it stretches it too far.
Really?
I didn't particularly enjoy or dislike the Simpsons movie. I was like, wow, you're trying to get into a space that isn't yours.
Well, but at least they tried some, like the reason they took this format and said, let's put it on the big screen and
to make money
and expand it out into something else is that they said, well, let's try something with this material. Let's do something.
I don't think it worked.
But I don't think Entourage tries anything.
No, but it works.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it?
But for what it is, it's not trying to be anything like fucking crazy and special. It's supposed to be a flash in the pan, hang out with these characters you like, enjoy yourself for the night, and then get the fuck out and go back to your own life with all of your crazy problems.
Again, it's entirely disposable.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Right? Like what? Why does everything have to be carved in marble and have this beautiful meaning to it and last after the sun explodes? Like what? Who gives a shit? Everything can't be that, or the things that aren't special. Like,
but then if you're a filmmaker and you're given the opportunity to make a film out of a property that you've worked on for the last 8 years,
sure.
Are you Matt Kroll, the kind of person who would take that opportunity and go, well, I'm just going to do what I did before?
It depends on the property, man. It really does. If this property was, what's a show I really like? Oh, Cowboy Bebop. Let's say Cowboy Bebop did do an animated movie, whatever. But let's say, like, for some weird twist of fate and Narnia bullshit reason, I was put in charge of the Cowboy Bebop live-action film not starring Keanu Reeves, which was in talks for a while.
Yeah.
That is something that I would care enough about. I believe in the story enough. I love the characters enough in a different way that I love the Entourage characters.
Yeah.
Because in a weird way, this animated show, Cowboy Bebop, it's an anime. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
I've heard great things.
That's to you.
Yeah.
Then, that's a series and characters that needs love, care, and protection. And I would give that as such, and I would do the best of my ability to make it something amazing, keeping it similar enough while trying to put my own spin on it as some sort of artist, quote unquote.
Yeah.
The Entourage movie, if I was put in charge of the Entourage movie,
you're just going to churn out
just make this fucking movie. Why not? No one's asking for this. No one wants it, and some people saw it. And I was one of those people, and that's what it's supposed to be. Like, can't it just live, Shahir? Does it have to subscribe?
Does it have to breathe? Does it have to, like, do anything?
No.
You could just, you can. I mean, you can.
And I don't know, look, I don't know, listeners, I don't know if this is something that you agree with sort of me or Shahir on, but, like, I don't know, like, there's times for, like, go down, I know we should really stop referencing, hey, the 3 other podcasts we did before this, but, like, Mad Max is something that you can either enjoy lizard brain or you could enjoy deep thought, sort of, too.
I think Mad Max is a good example because that is a lizard brain movie that has depth to it to mine.
Sure, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Kung Fury is more of a lizard brain thing, but also very artistic in different aspects of it.
Yeah.
Visually, the way it was developed is even sort of an art. Yeah, like or production in general, money and how they did, like that's sort of an art in itself. The Pigeon Sat on a branch and reflected on existence is a pure exercise in sort of high level thinking, and I've always found if you think too high, not like high, but like if you try to really sort of go all the way up, you're always going to circle back around and the snake's going to eat its own tail and you're going to be back to stupid ideas. Not that I think that goes there, but like if you have too much of that, it's just going to be too much of that. This movie is pure lizard brain. There's nothing else to read into and it's relaxing. It's just I was in the theater. I was watching it. I was with my girlfriend. We were hanging out.
Who hated it?
Oh, she hated it. She hated it. But I don't think I will give Robin credit. She loves bad movies, which is why I thought she'd like this movie.
Yeah. But it's not bad in a fun way. It's not.
No.
This is my problem. It's such you can walk out of this film completely indifferent to what just happened.
But the show wasn't bad in a fun way either. Oh, by the way, I will say this. Shout out to my lovely girlfriend. She is now binge watching the show.
Right.
So let's call a spade a spade.
I mean, You know,
say that there's something of value there.
admittedly, I went home and I kind of flicked on an episode because I wanted to see like how the show compared to the movie.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I could watch this. It was that same feeling I had when I watched the show however many years ago. It was like,
yeah.
This is like fun. I could watch this
yeah.
eventually, but there's nothing compelling me to watch this.
I mean,
It's just light fun.
I might in a couple years watch the whole series again because I think it's funny the honest trailers of the show that just dropped a week ago. It's very true. It's so now outdated, having started in 2004.
Yeah.
Like I find that shit amazing.
Yeah.
They make like a MySpace joke. Like holy shit. Like I don't know. That's just a cultural me thing.
Yeah. I don't. No disrespect to anyone who enjoyed the film. I just go, well, it's an indifferent film. Should you go out and see it? People who are looking for the only podcast about movies might be looking for the answer to that question when they listen to our podcast.
I would say if you liked the series, go see the movie.
If you don't, there's no need.
I mean, I guess not. Unless you want to see a bunch of pretty people doing a bunch of remotely interesting things and yelling a lot and talking on phones.
Yeah, and equally so, you could argue that people would say the same thing about Ocean's 12, which is a film that I really enjoyed, but I don't think anyone has to go see Ocean's 12.
No.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I just think there's space for all movies, Shahir. I think there's space for the Entourage movie. I think there's space for Pigeons and space for Ocean's 12.
Mad Max.
And
what are we going to be looking at next week?
I believe, spoiler alert, it'll be Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, sure. But, I feel I have high hopes for it, but, I have low expectations. We'll see. We'll see. But if this is sort of Vinny and the boys' swan song, I'm totally cool with it. And to be honest, I will say this sort of as we're ending. I'll talk about the ending and whatnot again. Like it's just sort of the series left sort of a bad taste in my mouth. I felt like the ending was rushed in the series, and maybe that's why I feel so passionate kind of defending this movie for what it is, because the end of the series felt vastly unfulfilling. And if this movie back then happened, I know time-wise it would be different, but if this sort of story happened at the end, if they had the money to do this, I would never really feel the need for any movie. Not that there was an incredible one, but like it ended on a weird spot.
So the movie, I guess, again, if you like the show, the movie wraps up the series
way better than the series does.
So it just wraps up the story in a nice way. I mean, I haven't seen the Entourage show, so the only analogous thing I can think of is The Office, the British Office.
Okay, I've never watched that one.
The British Office ends on a really dour note, and then they have this Christmas special, which is like 2 1-hour episodes.
What's with the BBC and their fucking Christmas? Black Mirror has a Christmas special.
Yeah, well, because they only do like The Office is only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Each season is only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And they have this Christmas special, which actually wraps up the whole show in a much nicer way. Does it need to exist? Like, it needs to exist. It's done very, very well, and it needs to exist for the people who love the show.
Right.
But it doesn't need to exist. The show could have ended on that, slightly sour note and been that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just why? Why take characters and end it on a poor sort of thing? Just take them and do something that the fans sort of like in the end. Unless you have, and this, again, Entourage movie is not this, but unless you have something really important to say and you're using your characters to say it.
Was the ending of the Entourage movie kind of saying something?
No, I'm saying it's not. But
of the show, of the show.
Not really. It was just sort of like this weird, like, oh, Vince is getting married all of a sudden, like within 2 episodes,
right?
And
the funny thing about the movie is the movie nullifies that within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Completely like, oh, he got married and now he's divorced.
Because it was a stupid ending.
And he just forgot about it.
Because it was a stupid ending.
Yeah. So.
And Nina Agdal, shout outs to my Guy Code girl, Nina Agdal. She, she's great in this movie. I mean, she didn't get much to do.
Yeah.
But I was psyched to see her up there.
She's not the person that he marries.
No, she's the girl on the boat that they all see, and then he talks to her. Like she has like 2 lines. I was actually kind of hoping she would be his love interest in the movie because she's hilarious.
Yeah.
That was not the case. What's her head from the Robin Thicke movie was the love interest.
Emily Ratajkowski.
Her name's Ratajkowski. Oh, not Erotikowski.
Not
Oh, I was
not
like,
Emily
well,
Erotikowski.
well, Erotikowski to you too. Well,
she seems to have a rising star in Hollywood right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Oh, let's talk about Haley Joel Osment in this film.
Okay, real quick. Let's talk about good old Sixth Sense.
HJO. For such a prodigious child star, the films he's doing as a grown-up, and maybe it's just the case that, he made too many movies when he was young.
Sure.
The films he's doing as a grown-up and the characters he's kind of playing as a grown-up feel like such a step backwards.
Sure, but again,
but maybe he's just,
well, this
having fun.
character feels a lot like a Les Grossman sort of character from Tropic Thunder. It was Tom Cruise's character,
but not even that. Not that much fun.
No, God, no. But like, it's that sort of like, well, I'm going to be a shithead. Like that sort of, I don't know, whatever.
Nowhere, not even in the same ballpark.
But it's the same type of character. It's just not as good of a character.
Yeah, it's not executed anywhere near as well.
No, of course not. But I'm saying that's the style of it. That's what they're trying to do. And
and I just guess, like Haley Joel Osment was he could open a movie on his own. But
go back and watch some Haley Joel Osment movies. I don't know, and I'd have to do this, but this is sort of me just reflecting back. Is he just confused? Like a lot of his acting was a lot of silence and a lot of pensive looks forward. Like, and that's a style and that's good, but like, was that just a kid? Like a kid being like, oh, now I'm whatever.
It's hard for a good kid actor to be on screen like that, and he did a great job.
And I don't think. Look, I don't have enough data to decide if he could do it again or not. Like do a great film.
Yeah.
But why not do this movie? Who gives a shit?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's again fitting in with the whole disposable thing. It's entirely disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and him being in this movie, like. Pretty much everyone in this movie, even Ari Gold, even Jeremy Piven, feels a little disposable.
No.
It's
the Fab Five, as it were, are not disposable in this film. In fact, if they weren't in this film, it would just be a bunch of Hollywood people pretending to be themselves.
Right. So it's because there was a show based around it.
Yeah, what do you? What have we been talking about this last hour?
It does nothing for me. But it's not offensively bad. I'm indifferent to it.
I mean, look, part of me wants to say, well, I understand because you haven't seen the series and it makes total sense what you're saying. The other part of me, some might say the lizard part of me, says that Shahir just hates fun.
I just hate fun.
You just hate fun.
I like the Simpsons movie.
I
like the South Park movie a lot.
South Park movie's great.
This
last season of South Park was phenomenal. I think, what are they on? They're going to do their last one coming up?
Those guys are amazing.
They're so good. They're so good.
They're so amazingly... I'm more excited to talk about Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
I am too, but they didn't come out with something this week.
They're so amazingly talented. Final thoughts on Entourage. I mean, look, I'll hand it over to you. My final thoughts are: it's not a bad movie. It's not a terrible movie. It certainly displays no ambition, or you could argue, no, it has got some talent behind the camera to have that kind of charisma, to have that kind of banter. It's fun, these characters feel lived in. But on the whole, kind of indifferent about it.
And that's fine. But
have I beaten it out of you yet? Have I beaten the enthusiasm out of you?
If you like the show, you're going to like the movie. If you like sort of douchey nonsense, you're going to like the movie. And you know what? You can like both. Don't let people that hate fun, like the one that's sitting across from me, tell you that just because you like a film and truly like it, not just I tolerate it and it's not offending me currently.
Yeah.
But you can like Dirt. And you can like Gold. You can like both types of movies. There's not a right movie to like or not like. So if you enjoy this sort of thing, and please, you are smart. You know what this film is. Don't go to this movie. You know if you'll like it. You know if you'll like it. So just go if you'll like it and don't go if you won't like it. That's it.
That's the best endorsement we can give.
That's it. But you know, and God bless their advertising because you know exactly what the fuck it's going to be. There's no surprise, and sometimes that's a nice change of pace.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, Shahir, this has been the only podcast about the Entourage movie. You've been a wonderful banter companion. Where can people find you to tell you further how much you hate fun?
I can be found at my website, shahirdaud.com, which is shahirdaud.com.
Okay, and I can be found at matthewkroll.com, MatthewKroll.com, also on Instagram at Skeletor4, or on Twitter at EmperorMSK. And Shahir, I do believe we also have our own little social media nonsense.
We have an email account which you can email us in your thoughts about Entourage or Jurassic World or Mad Max or Kung Fury or any film. A pigeon sat on a bench reflecting.
No one's doing that.
Our email address is onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Our Twitter account is onlymoviepod. And we're on Facebook.
And wow!
We're on Facebook.
We're on the Facebooks like all the adults.
So email us in. We still have those 2 tickets available to give. We've got 2 more tickets. So email us and we'll have a listen.
Describe the tickets thing again? I don't think people know.
Okay. So email us and we will have 2 AMC tickets for the email we like best this week.
Right. And just so there's a caveat, for you getting these tickets, you will also have to give us a 1-minute audio review of the film you decide to go see. So there's a little work for you.
You can see the Entourage movie.
If and you know what? If you want to, that's okay.
I don't think AMC is playing a pigeon sat on a branch reflecting existence.
I know they're not. Anyway, my name is Matthew Kroll.
And I'm Shahir Daud.
And this has been the only podcast about movies, the Entourage movie in particular, and I want to be your superhero. Even if I tumble fall.
Oh my God, I should have said, oh yeah, right? That was my...
yeah! Do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're such a piece of shit.